Have a mediocre life day, oh thank God it's once a year. I don't know if Yoda knows, but Vader brings the fear. Have a mediocre life day, and when you enter the fleet, say YOLO to Han Solo and call Jabba a cheat. Oh no, there Luke goes, crushing on a girl. That's his sister, no, don't give it a whirl. Have a mediocre life day, of the dark side you stay clear. Don't force choke or have a mediocre life day this year. I am finally bringing to you my semi-comprehensive review of
the Star Wars Holiday Special.
The entire point of this holiday special was essentially to funnel in both more Star Wars fans as well as money, because they had a whole lineup of toys set up for the inevitable success of this creative variety show. And George Lucas, unsurprisingly, didn't have much to do with it. He didn't have much time on his hands, what with, a little movie called Empire Strikes Back just right over the horizon, because this variety special did come out in 1978, and I keep saying variety special because that's exactly what this was created in the same vein of. Now, variety specials were a big deal in the 1970s, and it's not really something that we see too much of anymore, but it was essentially meant to showcase people's talent. And the whole idea behind that and mixing that with Star Wars was to garner just a ton of viewers. And in terms of the Nielsen ratings and everything like that, this actually rated number 2 with 13 million viewers, only behind an episode of Love Boat. And this variety special garnered a ton of actually big name actors of that time, such as B. Arthur, Harvey Korman, Jefferson Starship, many of which that did it just because Star Wars was the next big thing and everybody could see that. So everyone wanted a piece of the pie, and that's kind of where this and how this holiday special was conceived. And George Lucas was always into sort of expanding upon the lore when given the chance. He didn't really get to be involved in this, as I said before, but he always had this idea of creating a spin-off about just the Wookiees, because yes, it's always been about making cute things. I don't know what went wrong here. And on that fateful night of November 17th, 1978, between 8 and 10 p.m., the world was changed and unearthed with a different Star Wars experience. And it's kind of become this black spot on the Star Wars name. Anyone can argue, the prequels or Disney movies, whether or not they're good or not, whether they hold up to the originals, but no one really talks about the holiday special as well as the Ewok movies in terms of quality, because everyone knows they're garbage, particularly the holiday special. I'll get to the Ewok movies on a different day. I can only feel like I'm going to vomit so many times a day. It's a shame that this did so bad because, like I said, they had lots of toys lined up. I really wanted a Wookiee action figure with boobs or Chewie with dandruff. It was just, gosh, we could have had it all. But this was a weird mark of history. It is historical because it's a piece of Star Wars culture. It's not canon. I don't really think it ever was canon, but it's something special that we will never ever have to see be created ever again. And for that, we should be thankful. I used to campaign that this should be put on Disney Plus, but it had been so long since I'd watched the holiday special that now that I have watched it again, I'm not really wishing for that anymore. I did this so you didn't have to. We start off with Han and Chewie against the Empire in space, and Han is trying to get Chewie in time for Life Day, and we open a text that is not only in the right font, but revealing the holiday special. And we kind of get this little flash forward of just some glimpses of the main characters who are only going to be in this special for 3 seconds each, because they need to keep people here for a reason, and they already know that their variety special is not enough. Mark Hamill looks like Seth from Ned's Declassified. I'm just making my own enjoyment out of all of this. This movie is absolutely terrible. I didn't enjoy 1 second of watching it, but I'm making my own fun. We get our first glimpse at the Wookiee homestead with Lumpy, Chewie's son, Itchy, his dad, and Mala, the wife. They're engaging and talking and whatnot, and it's kind of the general gist of it all is that they miss Chewie, that's clear, but there's no subtitles, which was apparently one of George Lucas's few inputs on this movie, because he felt it would destroy his vision because Chewbacca never had subtitles, etc. Little did he know that that was going to be the least of their worries, destroying his vision. My goodness. Anyway, watching these Wookiees talk for like 20 minutes without any subtitles kind of makes me feel how the Minions movie made me feel. Like I was going absolutely insane. I made my mom watch this with me so that misery loves company became a thing, but really we were just both depressed. To distract Lumpy from his absent father, Itchy puts on a hologram of what I can only describe as Cirque du Soleil of the galaxy far, far away, and by far one of the lesser evils of the variety segments we're about to see. And Lumpy gets really into it, like he is really enjoying this. He's the only one. To give Mark Hamill credit, he really is trying to give his all in this performance. I mean, even if he does end up sounding positively terrifying while asking Mala to smile.
Come on, let's see a little smile.
But they keep trying to reach Chewie to no avail and instead somehow get access to see the Imperials have infiltrated Kashyyyk. Is this planet even called Kashyyyk here? And the nice store owner tips off to Mala everything she already knew, that Han is bringing Chewie. Seriously, they have said this several times at this point. Mala is very thick-skulled. And then he gets embarrassed because the Imperial dude dressed like Darth Helmet has no concept of what purchasing goods and services means. Literally. It's then Mala's turn to watch a show, which in this case involves a Food Network in Space edition. Harvey Korman dresses in drag and smells raw bantha loin and talks about the tenderness of rumps. Yes, this is a children's special. It won't be the only time you question that. This segment, much like every other part of this godforsaken special, is very long and does not leave any room for failure as it has every step in it.
Whip, sir, whip, stir. Come on, faster all together now, cooking can be fun.
The best part is when we flash back to the main characters of the franchise, even if it's still bad, because Harrison Ford literally looks like he's dying inside as he's making this, but he still puts forth his best efforts. And knows this is going to be just as awful as everyone would later figure out. I mean, I don't know how the executives didn't have such insight, but you know, here we are. While Life Day still hasn't been explained, it's easy to see that it's meant to be some universal holiday that's not supposed to be like Christmas or Hanukkah in space. Sundance or Sundawn or whatever this guy's name is gives them with presents that fit their personality. Fun fact, this Sandon guy, he was actually the original Lando Calrissian in very early scripts of Empire Strikes Back. The more you know. Mala gets a little machine that will later be explained. Okay. Lumpy gets a toy. He's a child, so that makes sense. And Grandpa Itchy gets porn.
Kind of hard to explain. It's a, wow. You know what I mean?
Like literally, the executives of CBS said that the entire purpose of this was to try to push softcore porn. Why? I don't know. They didn't have bras in space, but they sure had porn. And Itchy enjoys himself way too much for someone who has a child and his daughter-in-law in the next room. Don't believe me? Well, don't play these parts at work, folks. Good thing I never checked off that my video was made for kids.
I am in your mind as you create me. Oh, yes. I can feel my creation. I'm getting your message. Are you getting mine? Oh, we are excited, aren't we?
Watching this with my mom was funny because she's always sort of had this idea that like the holiday special is funny in like a really bad way. And I've always been like, it's not, it's really terrible. And then she watched it with me today and she's like kind of scarred now. So sorry, Mom. Thankfully, Carrie Fisher's performance is considerably solid. As solid as someone with utter self-loathing about this can feel. They know what they're doing when they put these actors in here. They know that it's breaking up the absolute torture of this show. The Imperials show up on their doorstep looking incredibly unsure why they're alive and breathing, but I can't complain too much because at least they're speaking individuals. Except the amount of silence murders me. They take so long to talk, and I don't know why the main Imperial guy, he keeps like edging himself towards the camera, which is very funny to me because this is not a stage production last time I checked. And when they do talk, it's not exactly poetry, and it kind of makes me miss when just the Wookiees were talking. And we get another segment in this variety special, which features Jefferson Starship, who sings into a big dildo. The band is usually led by Grace Slick, but she apparently had standards, so this scrub sang instead, and my ears are still hurting. The The Imperial looks happy for the first time in his life while watching this, but maybe it's because the drug trip is slowly killing him and the sweet release of death is coming. No wonder Vader was always choking these bitches, because here they are just sitting around watching MTV. And speaking of Vader, he is barely in this. Like, everyone else is barely in this too, but Vader is barely in this. It's just rehashed audio. And before we knew it, in times of strife, Lumpy just goes and watches TV, which is the most relatable part of this entire special. Luckily, it's the only semi-presentable portion of the special, and it's animated. I don't really understand why they didn't just animate this entire thing. The art style is reminiscent of Beavis and Butthead, and the story is no Clone Wars episode, but there's something oddly charming about it. Maybe it's the fact that Boba Fett is here, or it's the voice acting. Even if Boba Fett sounds like he's trying to hypnotize you the entire time.
Maybe I can help you. I am Boba Fett.
Or maybe that's me just trying to fall asleep. It does feel like we were dropped in the middle of an episode of Droids without any context, and it's completely unrelated to the rest of the holiday special. I don't understand why Lumpy has access to watching this, but I really shouldn't be giving this much thought. I mean, this doesn't make much sense, but he tries to hide it from the other stormtroopers and from the Imperials, like as if this is happening in real time and it's not just a cartoon, or why he has access to this cartoon. And it's strange in and of itself, the cartoon, because it's plagued as Boba Fett as a traitor, and sure, yeah, we know he later works with Vader in Empire Strikes Back, but he helps them? Like, he helps Han and Luke, and then the second they're like, oh, you're bad, he's like, oh, peace. I'll see you later. And that's it. That is the end of Boba Fett in this, and that's like the entire thing of this whole animation portion of the segment. The Wookiees reach their limit with the Empire after the Darth Helmet wannabe needlessly rips the head off of a stuffed bantha, and so Lumpy decides to look up an incredibly convenient and drawn-out how-to on how to save the day.
How?
I don't know how they do it, but they increasingly stress me out with how boring and long this can be. I did this to myself willingly. And as I'm watching this how-to, I have to contemplate existence along with the fact that there is literally nothing charming or even funny about how bad this all is. Like, the Ewoks movies kind of have that to them. They're really terrible slices of garbage, but there is something incredibly funny about how terrible they are. CBS took the most popular and loved new franchise in the world and somehow made it hard to watch. Look, George Lucas will do that in 2002 with Attack of the Clones, but this is different. At least we get to see the Cantina briefly, because what is Star Wars without some Cantina action? And B. Arthur is here. I mean, at least B. Arthur's not being insufferable, and Harvey Kormanstein's okay in this scene. Oh no, the Me Too movement would not like that. Thank you for being just a friend, pal. Why are we on Tatooine, though? Nobody knows. I guess to show Imperial prohibition, to which everyone just sort of ignores through song and dance, a song and dance that eventually makes me want to take up drinking. But we're back on the Wookiees, and Lumpy scared the others away with a fake transmission he was able to somehow make thanks to that how-to I stopped paying attention to. But luckily, Chewie and Han Solo show up just in time when the other stormtrooper catches on. Harrison Ford just looks really good. And maybe my elation at seeing him isn't so much the cinematic build-up at all, but the rest of the movie, or this special, or this pile-up of garbage, has just been so terrible that seeing his golden and beautiful face is like a starving man being given a plate of chicken. And we still haven't really gone into the whole Life Day thing that we're supposed to be celebrating. It certainly isn't celebrating this special or my time spent watching it. We get the true religious annotations through this cult of Wookiees walking off into the stars and then gathering with candle in a misty alcove. Charles Manson would have had a field day if hairballs were his type. Carrie Fisher shows off her lovely voice in the end, and it's far too good for the special. I mean, it's actually one of the only reasons she agreed to do it. If she sang, she just wanted to sing in space. And you can tell while Carrie Fisher's doing this that she's singing and knows that this whole thing is garbage. She just doesn't care. She's just like, you know what? I'm collecting my paycheck and that's it. And I gotta respect that about her. We get some hilarious shots of everyone else contemplating their lives and what led them here. I'm right there with them and wondering how this was only 1 hour and 37 minutes. That was the longest amount of time I've spent. Oh man. I just need to remind myself that I'm still kicking and breathing, and I guess for that I can be thankful, except for the intense amount of self-loathing I have now for putting myself through that. Well, I'll address that in therapy, but anyway, yes, this holiday special is just as terrible as everyone says it is. And like, not in that charming fun way that some bad movies are, where you can just laugh and point with your friends. Instead, you're wondering why you're doing this to yourself, and why there is softcore porn on top of circus acts and weird cooking shows and just unnecessary dialogue. I think that this could have easily been like a 30-minute special and would have been tolerable at best, but the biggest killer about this holiday special, like, everything is really bad about it. Like, there's no good parts. Even the parts with our favorite characters are bad, and they know they're bad. They're living them, they're breathing them. I feel sorry for them, but I'm the one who watched it, and like, I'm assuming they never did. Is that everything just gets so drawn out. Like, the scene with the cantina could have been cool, but they just kept going, and they just sang a song. The cooking show, oh, okay, like, I was like, oh, this could be funny, and then it kept going, and he kept over explaining every single thing, and the circus act went on for so long. It's like, it's weird because the segments kind of act as means of breaking up the annoying stuff that's happening with the Wookiees and the Imperials and that Sondan guy. But like, it's more annoying stuff, so it's kind of like leveling up in terms of annoyance, and I just get angrier and more pitiful as the episode goes on. And then like the little glimmers of hope, or when we get to see like Princess Leia talk or sing, or Harrison Ford contemplating his existence as he's in this, and you know that he's just going through the motions, considering alcoholism. I'm right there with him. And then Mark Hamill looks like they made him in a factory and shoved him outside. Don't know why he looks like that, but I'm not going to question it too much anyway, because I'm over here just scratching my head about everything else that happened. The cartoon special was something. It was better than the rest of it, but it's still bad. It makes no sense at all, and the animation is garbage. It looks like Beavis and Butthead and the topographical map of Utah just mixed together, and blah. It's not pretty, it's not fun, there's no breath of life into this special. And I think that's the issue. Like, Star Wars just totally exploded life into movies in a way, and it reinvigorated science fiction and space and an interest in both of those things. But this holiday special makes me want to lay down face first in wet cement. In fact, it is the cause of seasonal depression in a way. And you know, I could talk about it until I'm blue in the face. I could literally keep going on and on, but I'm not going to, because I know when to stop, holiday special.
Settle down.
I hope all of you folks enjoyed this. You can thank me for watching this so that you don't have to in the comments below. I hope you have a happy holidays, and may the force be with you always.